the first coffee shop you guys have opened, right?
That's right. No, it's the second.
Okay, so tell me about the first one.
The first one started about 2.5 years ago in Leslieville, or where it's it's Riverside, and it's just on the edge of the DBP entrance, so just over the bridge. For a lot of people, it's on the other side of the Great Divide. We weren't part of that neighborhood originally, but we found a really nice spot with beautiful windows and lots of light, and a big space in the front near the window where we could build a communal table. So that was why we chose the space initially, and now that we're there, we really love it. We live in the neighborhood. It's a very community-based local cafe, and we've been there doing that, and we've got quite the following of locals, and there are people who come from outside of the neighborhood who drive there, but mostly it's locals every day, people who work at home and they need a little bit of a break from their home offices or their moms, and they're not working just yet, so we get a lot of those people as well. And we decided to open up a second location, and we came into the downtown area, which has been really different.
Okay, cool. So tell me a bit about what brought you to this space here.
Well, we were looking around for spaces for, I don't know, maybe 5 months, 6 months. Looked at a bunch of things, but then this building came up, the space, and as soon as we saw it, we just sort of felt there was no other space that we would be interested in from that point on.
So did you anticipate, what the Darkhorse has become? To me, it seems like it's a bit of a nerdvana, right? It's a focal point for architects, for software developers, for NGOs, for nonprofits that are in the building. Is that what you anticipated before you came here?
Not really. I mean, Darkhorse 1, we learned over time that it's, we just got intertwined with the community, and then you see these interactions start to happen around the communal tables and whatnot. So we knew that we wanted to have that follow over, but we didn't really know for sure.
And we didn't know what industries would be interested in our space, and it sort of seems that, location-wise, there are a lot of architecture offices around here, so that's sort of a natural place for them as far as the computer
and web developers.
Guys and web developers. We had no idea that that would be part of our, core group of clientele.
So what have you seen in terms of interaction between people that sort of surprised you or sort of delighted you about the way your space is being used?
Just people seem to be talking and meeting, and instead of having people shoved off in corners at two-seater tables, I don't know, you just get this sense of community, and maybe where people would normally be chatting to their neighbor, they're talking, and that's sort of what it's all about for us. It's this community feeling of, I don't know, it's like cafe culture for us. It's like it's where things happen.
So how do you balance that out? I mean, if you look at a place like Tim Hortons, for example, you have a no loitering sign and stuff. So somebody could come to the Darkhorse, order a single coffee, spend the morning there and stuff, right?
Absolutely.
So how do you balance that, this sort of altruistic community building piece of what you want the Darkhorse to be, and the commercial entrepreneurial space, which just says we're here to make money?
I think our focus is more in the latter sense. We don't really mind people coming in and having one coffee and sitting there for a few hours. I mean, they're not probably going to do that every day. So each person that comes in and makes it their place and takes some ownership over the space, they're still, they're going to come back and spend money again the next time. So
we have lots of room.
Yeah, we have lots of room. It's a big space. We're not really concerned about people taking up too much space for too long. There's always people coming and going. Some people take away and they don't have time to stay. So
it's never been a problem.
It's never been a problem.
It's never been a problem yet. And like at the other cafe, we have some people. They're there
4 hours, 5 hours.
4 or 5 hours a day. But they just feel like they're part of the place, right? They give it its life as well. So they interact. People. They're the regulars. They're the ones that people talk to every day. Talk about the paper. Talk about what they're working on. It's all good.
I think the first and foremost impression I had from traveling was that when you travel solo, on your own, it's hard to meet people, right? You feel often alone. But there were a number of places in the world that I traveled where that sense of loneliness or being alone would be removed because there were more prevalent uses of communal tables and having people sitting together in one space where you're not divided at a two-seater, each person by themselves sitting at one, like a Starbucks scenario. So having that, going away, seeing communal tables in Europe and Australia and that kind of thing just made me realize that Toronto was lacking a bit of a sense of community. We've isolated ourselves so much. We're always working on our laptops, we're always on our cell phones, we're always at work, I think that I was hoping that when I got back from traveling that we would create something that could bring the sense of community back to the city. I didn't know if it was possible. I didn't know if people would respond to it.
But it's just what we like, I guess.
But we like that idea, and when I'm in a cafe in another place in the world, I like having interactions with strangers. So we kind of hoped that it would work here, and so far it's been extremely well received, and I think that the city could definitely benefit from a lot more public-private spaces that definitely give people a chance to get to know people who they have no idea who they are or any history with those people, but might have a pleasant interaction and then never see them again.
So where are you going next? I mean, you've had the Darkhorse 1 2.5 years ago. You've got this space now, and obviously this is occupying a ton of your time now.
Absolutely.
But have you got plans for Darkhorse 3?
Not right now. I think we're both I'm feeling a bit at times overwhelmed at how much work two businesses it really is. Right. It seems like it's more than just double for some strange reason, and in some other ways I'm sure that certain things are easier because there's two, but right now we're just sort of feeling like we have a lot on our plate. This is a big space. It's a lot more than I think we expected even. You get in and you realize the space is large, but it really starts living on its own, and it becomes this entity, and then you have to try and help control it and make and foster it and help it grow. But we're a little just sort of trying to figure it out at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
And how has it been being in the CSI building? Has that been a good experience for you in terms
Absolutely.
of dealing with the folks?
Mm-hmm. The whole building is amazing. Like all the tenants that come in, I don't know, they're just so supportive. They were telling us the whole way through the renovation they would be there every day, and they are.
We didn't really believe it, but they've been very supportive, and there's already a sense of community in this building which we're joining, and hopefully helping to continue to foster those relationships for people by providing them another private public space that they can meet one another. So it's not just only CSI people hanging out with CSI people, but that they all get to meet one another. There is a function already happening, an event that we're helping with the Ontario network of non-profit network, and it's sort of a subsidiary of CSI, I believe, and they're coming to have a nighttime event. Hopefully that's what we're going to start working on developing a bit more, is having events at night, giving people the space to meet and greet and provide a nice space for them to come and hang out. That isn't necessarily about coffee. So hopefully that'll start to develop.
Yeah. It's a great space for the building to come down to, and they can meet with other companies in the building to see how they can work together as well. So I think everybody's excited about that, having a communal space for that purpose.
Cool. Well, thanks very much for joining me about this, and I understand tomorrow's your 5th anniversary, so happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thanks for joining me.
Thank you so much.
Cheers.